So hello everyone, we are back again with our latest video on SQL tutorial Abikacho by Abikacho Groups. So basically in this particular video, we are going to discuss each and everything about the SQL Server store procedures. Okay, now move on to the next slide and check what is a store procedure first. Okay, so what is a store procedure? So a store procedure is essentially a batch of SQL code saved under a name and executed as a single unit. And if you have a situation where you write the same query over and over again, you can save that specific query as a store procedure and call it just by its name. Okay. So basically, store procedure are a bunch of codes, SQL codes that are written inside a container kind of thing, or you can say under a name that can be executed whenever we want to execute them. So if you have a scenario like you need to execute a query over and over again, so you can create a store procedure on top of that particular query and use that particular SP whenever you need. So let's move on to SSMS and first check how we can create a store procedure and how is it going to work. So expand our database. So SQL tutorial database, we need to expand. Then here in tables, let's check what table we have. So we have one employee table. Now execute, select 1000 rows. Okay, so let's take, if you need a query to be executed again and again, like if you want to provide a report where you want to present like name, department name and salary to some particular some particular client, then what you will do, you will not execute each time this code and copy this and provide it in Excel. Okay, like this you can't do. So what you can do, you can create a store procedure on top of that and just execute the store procedure over and over again, and you can mention the SP name to the client also if they have the SQL server, and they can use that. Now how to create a store procedure? So it's a very simple syntax for store procedure, like create procedure, procedure create procedure, and then the procedure name, like employee procedure we can mention SP employee, SP employees, employees, and then you need to mention as, and then begin and end, and in between this begin and end your query will come. Okay, so what query we want? So we want name, department name and salary from the employee table. Copy this and write it inside that begin and end, and remove this employee ID and top 1000. Okay, so this particular query if we want to execute over and over again, then we can create a SP on top of that and execute this particular SP. Now execute this. Okay, now your SP is created. Now whenever we are going to execute this particular SP, we are getting the same record as we desire from that particular query, exec, and then the SP name. Now execute this. So see, here you are getting the same select statement. Now move on and check what are different functionalities that we have in store procedure. So store procedure is a very means you can say powerful tool or powerful procedure that can provide you much power in SQL Server. Okay, now what are the types of store procedure in SQL Server? So we have like 5 kinds of store procedure in SQL Server. That are, first is system store procedure. So it is provided by SQL Server and is stored in the master database, commonly used for administrative tasks like managing users configuration or database operation. Examples are sp underscore help, sp config, or sp execute SQL. So basically the system store procedure are recreated by the SQL Server itself and provided for some functioning like managing user configuration and database operations. And these are available in the master database. So let's move on to SSMS and check where the system store procedure are available. So system database, when you open, then here in master, expand this master, and then programmability, then store procedure when you expand. So system store procedure we are getting. When you expand this, see, these are the system store procedure which are provided by SQL Server for functioning of SQL Server. Okay, now move on and check next one. So next we have the user defined store procedure. So what user defined store procedure do? So user defined store procedure created by user to encapsulate business logic or repetitive task, can accept parameters and return value. So basically one that we have created currently. So that is an example of a user defined store procedure that are created by users for encapsulating business logics and repetitive tasks. Okay, to ease that particular work, we use user defined store procedure. So user defined store procedure can be parameterized or non parameterized also. So we will check in later part in this video only. Okay, and now third we have the temporary store procedure. So temporary store procedure created for the duration of user session or until the connection is closed. Okay, so useful for quick session specific task, identified by hash prefix for local temporary procedure or double hash for global temporary procedure. Okay, and then after that temporary store procedure we have the extended store procedure. So it is a deprecated SQL Server version store procedure and allows execution of external programs or dynamic link library DLL. So basically this extended store procedure is not in use from now, and we are using CLR store procedure in place of that. So let's check what the CLR store procedure will do. So CLR store procedure implemented using .NET language like C Sharp and VB.NET, used for more complex tasks requiring advanced logic or integration with external application. Okay, so for means advanced tasks and external application linking, we use the CLR store procedure. Okay, now move on to the next slide and check what are all the things we are going to discuss in this particular video. So what topics we are discussing in this video? So number one, we will discuss how to create a user defined store procedure. One we have already created, and we will discuss how we can create more. Okay. Second, we will discuss how to execute a store procedure. So the process we have seen, I will explain that, means how we can execute the store procedure. Then after that, we will discuss user defined store procedure without parameter. After that, user defined procedure with single parameter. And after that, user defined store procedure with multiple parameter. Then after, creating and executing user defined procedure with output parameter. So this particular with output parameter is very important for interview perspective. Okay, so basically in interviews they will ask how you will create a output parameter store procedure and how you will execute that, because execution of this output parameter is a bit different from the regular store procedures. Okay, so we will check how it is going to execute. And then after this we will discuss how to view the text of a user defined store procedure. Okay, so how we can check the text of the user defined store procedure, that we will check. And then we will check how to encrypt a user defined store procedure. For security purpose we can encrypt the store procedure also, so that no one can be able to check the text of the store procedure when it is encrypted. Okay, and after that we will check how to alter or update the user defined store procedure. And then after we will check how to drop or delete the user defined store procedure. And after that, how to remain a user defined store procedure. And then how to check the dependencies of a store procedure both by queries and SSMS GUI, both we will check. Okay, and then we will check some important system store procedure, and at last we will discuss the advantages of store procedure in SQL Server. Okay, now move on to the first topic. So basically, how to create a user defined store procedure, we will check. First of all, check what is a user defined store procedure in detail. So in SQL Server, user defined store procedure is a pre-compiled precompiled okay, so precompiled collection of SQL statement and optional control of flow logic. So they are created by database user, hence user defined, to encapsulate repetitive tasks, complex business logics, or database operations that are frequently performed. Okay, so basically user defined are created by our end. Okay, users, we the users. Okay, and the naming convention for a user defined store procedure, this is very important. So when naming a user defined store procedure, Microsoft recommend not to use sp underscore as a prefix, as all the system store procedure are prefixed by sp underscore. Okay, so basically the system store procedure are available by the name of sp underscore as prefix. So Microsoft will recommend us, is recommending to not to use sp underscore, so that if in future they will launch any sp with that particular name, that will collide with your user defined sp, and the system might fail in future, your means company system. So this avoids any ambiguity between user defined and system store procedure, and any conflict with some future store procedure. Okay, as we discussed. Now move on and check how to create a user defined store procedure. So use create procedure or create proc either we can mention create procedure as we have mentioned currently, or we can also mention create proc statement to create a user defined stored procedure. And the syntax we have already discussed: create procedure, procedure name, then as begin SQL statement that we want to execute, and then end. Now move on to SSMS and check one store procedure which is user defined. Okay, so this sp underscore employee is completed. Now we will check with a different table. Okay, first close this and move on to the SQL tutorial database. Then here we have a f project table that I have created for complete sp understanding. Okay, so here you can see we have the columns like project id, we have project names, we have, and based on project name tasks we have, task name we have, then on project and task employees we have, then we have the gender of the employees, then start date of the project we have, then days required to complete the task we have, and then end date we have, and then progress of the project we have. So let's create one sp that will uh, provide us the complete select statement from select star from the app project table. Okay, so how we will do this? So similarly, create proc or procedure, anything you can mention as per your need or want. Okay, create proc name we will mention like sp project, project table, project table data, project table data, and then we have as, and then begin, and then end. In between our query will come like select star from select select star from f underscore project table. Okay, now execute this, and to see the sp where it is created, you can go to programmability. At the database you can go to programmability, expand this, then we have the store procedure. Now expand this, so here we have our sp created, sp employees and sp project table data. Okay, now execute this sp and check how output we are getting. So for executing you can even select this particular sp name, select this and execute this if we don't have any parameter in the sp. So keep this in mind, select this and just press execute. So our sp is executed and it is providing all the details from that from that project table. Okay, so this is clear. So this is a basic sp. Okay, now move on and check what we have next. So after this we have how to execute a stored procedure. So there are multiple methods by which we can execute a stored procedure. So we can use either exec keyword before the sp name and then execute, or we can use the execute keyword that we have used in our first sp, and then we have a select the sp name and execute that we have done now if no parameter need to be passed. Okay, if parameter need to be passed, then we will use exec or either execute. Okay, and also from the ssms GUI we can execute the sp. Now move on to ssms and check the execution of sps in this different ways. Okay, so first way you have already checked that if parameters are not getting passed, then we can directly select the sp name and press execute, then it will be executed. Now second one is we can use the keyword exec before the sp name and then select this and then put execute. Okay, so this is also providing the result. Or we can use execute keyword, execute, complete execute also you can mention, and select this and execute. Okay, so this is clear. Now also we can execute from the ssms GUI. So here you can see in programmability store procedure, go to your store procedure, this sp project table, and then right click here, and then you will get the option to execute store procedure. So when you click here, then also one pop-up will come and then press OK. So it will also execute your sp. Okay, and see here it is also doing the same thing, execute return value equals to sp. Okay, so these three methods are clear to everyone how we can execute the sp. Now move on to the next one. Next what we have, so user defined store procedure without parameters. Okay, so one that we have created now is a user defined store procedure without parameter. So this you can take in an example of a store procedure without any parameter. Okay, So this is, I think, clear to everyone. Now move on to the next one, as this one is already discussed. So next we have user defined store procedure with single parameter. So by using the parameter, how we will create the SP? So syntax for this is create procedure, procedure name, and then in open and close parenthesis we will mention the parameter with data type. Okay, and then as begin and as per previous one. Okay, now move on to SSMS and create one parameterized store procedure. So how we will create a parameterized store procedure? Now first check your table, select star from SP, select star from F underscore project table. Okay, so here what we will find, let's find out project wise task. Okay, project as a parameter we will pass, and what task we have according to that project we will check from our SP. Okay, so for doing this, just simply do create procedure, procedure, then procedure name. So SP project wise, project wise task, project wise task. Okay, task name. Okay, and here we need a single parameter, which is our project name. So mention the parameter with @ project, project name, and here you need to provide the data type of your parameter. So our data type will be varchar. Okay, so varchar, varchar 50 we will take. So generally what we will do, we will take the parameter size as same as that of this column size, so that we will not face any difficulty while executing this in real time also. Okay, so single parameter here we will pass, then close this parenthesis, and then as previous, as begin and end, and here your here your query will come, SQL query. So what we need, we need project name wise task name. Okay, so select task name, task name we will mention the table name first, so that IntelliSense will work. Okay, and how to open that IntelliSense in SSMS, I have already created one video on that, you can go and check on our channel. Okay, F underscore, and you will also find the link in our description also, so from there also you can check that particular videos, our previous videos. So task name, so see, by opening the IntelliSense it is becoming very easy, where project name will be the name that we will mention, pass in the parameter. Project name equals to @ project name. Okay, copy this, paste here, now execute. So our SP is created. Now we will execute this SP. So we will check for the those tasks which are available for marketing project. So EXEC, and then here you need to pass your parameter value. So if you don't pass the parameter, what it will tell? Execute this without the parameter. So here procedure or function SP project wise task name expects parameter @ project name, which is not supplied. Okay, so it will throw an error to you if you are not passing the parameter in a parameterized SP. So pass the parameter like project name. So which project? Marketing project we will check. Marketing, what are the tasks under marketing project? Okay, execute this. So see, here we are getting the task name based on the projects. Okay, marketing project has these 4 tasks. Now we can check for event similarly, event project, events. Okay, execute this. So for events we have these 3 tasks. Okay, so I think this is clear to everyone. Now move on to the next one. Now next we have user defined store procedure with multiple parameters. Okay, so multiple, as much as parameter we can pass in store procedure. So means almost 20-30 we can pass. Exact limit I don't remember currently, so I need to check also in Google, but currently we will pass multiple procedure parameters, like 2 parameter we will pass in our example. So the syntax for this is also very simple: create procedure, procedure name, then parameter 1 data type, comma parameter 2 data type, and as begin end with the SQL statement. Okay, let's move on to SSMS and check how we are creating store procedure with multiple parameter. Okay, So first of all, check our table. Copy this, open a new query window, paste here, execute this. So what we will find out? So let's find out uh, project name wise task name under a given time period, time range. Okay. So under a given date range, we will find out the task name under a project name. So, okay. So here we will need three parameters like project name and from date and to date. So starting of the project, starting of the task must be under that particular range. Okay. Now create procedure, create proc name sp project date wise project date range date range wise task name. And if you need the documents and all, so you can join our telegram channel also. We are providing the documents there only, we are sharing the documents there, like our tables and all, the structure of the table, data of the table, and these SQL scripts and all we are sending on the telegram channel. So for that, join our telegram channel also. The link you will find in the description also, and on our channel description also. Okay. So here now we will pass the three parameters. Like first is the project name, project project name, and this will be our varchar 50, and then after this comma, then we have our from date which will be our data type, and then we have our to date. Okay, this will be also data type. Now as begin, begin and end, and here in between we will mention our select statement. So what we want, let's take, we want task name and employee name also we will capture. Task name and comma employee name, task name employee emp name. Okay, so write the select statement for that. Select from f underscore project table, and what we want to select, we want to select the task name comma emp name, employee name from f project table, where project name equals to at the rate project name and start date between from and to date, at the rate from date and to date, and at the rate to date. Okay, so this is clear to everyone. Okay, now create this. So what we are finding out, we are finding out the task and employee name under a given project under given time period, the starting of the project under given time period. Okay, starting of the task under given time period. Okay, now execute this. So our sp is created. Now execute our sp. Okay, so for executing, we already know exec or execute directly, we will mention execute execute, then sp name, and then parameters we need to mention. So here three parameters we need to mention. So check for marketing project, and date range we will take comma, you will provide the comma sign and then provide the next parameter, and then again comma, and then the next parameter. So we will check for 2024 01 till, and the to date will be like 2024, under quote we need to mention the date also. So 2024 01, and then let's take 15th 15. Okay, we'll press enter here so that everything will be visible. Okay, now here is our execute sp name, and then parameters, three parameter at the rate project name, from date, and then to date. Now execute this. So here see, we are getting the the task which are started between this particular date range and which are coming under marketing project, okay, and the employee name also. So market research, which is under Alice, and content creation, which is under Bob. Okay, so this is clear to everyone how we create the store procedure using multiple parameters. Okay, now move on and check the next thing what we have. So store procedure are basically very important thing in perspective of working as well as interview perspective. So even in interviews lot of questions will come for store procedures and all, creation, execution, and all these are the important things to follow. So store procedure is a very important part of SQL Server. Now next we have the creating and executing user defined store procedure with output parameters. Okay, so what we are doing here currently, here we are providing the input parameters, like input of the parameters, and we are getting the output. Now what we will create, we will create one store procedure that will provide us output. Okay, that will that where we will provide the output parameter, and then output parameter it will provide the output to that output parameter. Okay, so basically this is also very important for interviews. In interviews basically people will use to ask this, how to create and execute a output parameter store procedure, because the execution of this particular store procedure is a bit different from the regular store procedures. So what is the syntax for this? So here we have the syntax like create procedure, then procedure name, and then parameter 1, parameter 2, and this parameter 2 will be our output parameter. So we need to mention the output keyword after the parameter which is our output parameter. Okay, and then as begin end in between the SQL statement. And for executing the output parameter store procedure, what we need to do, so if the SP is going to provide us the output, then somewhere we need to store that output, and then we will display that. So basically we need to create a variable first, and then we will store the output of that particular store procedure in that variable, and then print that variable, so that the output will be available to us. Either we can print, or also we can supply that particular output to different store procedure parameters. Okay, so that we will also mention, but currently we will first mention the creation of a user defined store procedure with output parameter, and we will try to execute that. Okay, so let's move on to SSMS and check what data we have and how we are going to create the output parameter. So first select from our table, select star from f underscore dt, f underscore project, double s is there, that is why intelligence is not working here. Select star from s project table. Okay, so let's take, so here in this particular example what we will do, we will find out the gender wise imply count, and the count we will receive in the output parameter. Okay, so that is clear to everyone. Now let's create our SP for that. So how we will create, so we are creating a output parameter SP. So create procedure, create procedure, and then procedure name will be SP get gender by imply count, get gender, get employee count by gender. Okay, SP get employee count by gender, by gender. Okay, now again we need to mention the parameter. So here we are going to create one output parameter, employee count, on which we will receive the value from this particular SP. Okay, so first of all we will create the gender parameter, which will be our input parameter. So gender name we will mention, and then it will provide us the count of the employees under that particular gender for in the output parameter. Okay, gender will be our varchar 5, let's take varchar 5. Okay, and comma employee count, employee employee count, which will be our integer, and this is our output parameter. So output you need to must mention in the output parameter. Okay, output keyword is a must. Output, either output you can mention or out also you can mention. Okay, both you can mention, but don't miss that particular thing. So as, then after as begin and end, and in between we will write our statement. So we need the employee count. by gender. Select count employee name, so it is a good practice to mention the column name in counts, because that will enhance the performance, so that the system should go and count for a single column only. If you will mention the star, then it need to go and count for each and every column. Okay, so that is a better thing to mention the specific column which you want to count, or which on top of which you are doing the sum and all. Okay, so select count employee name from f underscore project table where gender equals to @gender. Okay, and now this employee count value we will capture from here. So select employee count equals to count of employee name from f project table where gender equals to gender. Now execute this and create the sp. Okay, okay, now this is created. Now how to execute this particular output parameter sp and capture the value of output parameter? So for capturing or storing the value of output parameter, we need a variable first. So first of all, you need to declare a variable. Declare total employee variable. We will mention total employee, and then the data type of this particular variable must match with the data type of the output parameter. Okay, so this is a must. Now integer. Okay, and then here you will mention execute exec and then the sp name, and then here you need to pass your first the gender name. So this point is also need to mark that the parameter values must be passed in the same order like the parameter has been mentioned in the store procedure. Okay, otherwise it will fail. Or the other thing what you can do, you can mention the parameter name and then provide the value for that. So in that particular case you can mention any order. Okay, so that we will also check in this particular example. So now first of all mention, like male employees we will check. So employee count by gender, male employees, and then for the capturing the output value we will mention the declared variable here, and then mention output here. Output. Okay, so what we are doing, so here we are assigning this particular output value to this variable. If you don't assign this value, then it will output. If you will not mention, then the value is not assigned to the variable, it will provide null. So output, mentioning output after the variable name is a must here. Okay, and then we will print our variable name. Okay, so what value it has. So now print it provided. Now first create the sp. So I think sp is created. Okay, now execute this. So here you can see 26 records has been captured in the output. So 26 employees are male employees. Okay, this is clear. Now what will happen if you don't mention this output here? So we can check this by using a if else condition. So write like if the total employee is null, then it will provide the null value. If you don't mention the output, remove the output here, it will provide you the null value. Okay, so we will check from the if else. So if total employee is null, then total employee is null, then print variable has null value. Okay, variable has null value. Okay, put it under quote, and if else, then here the else condition will come. Else print variable has values. Okay, so we will execute this first without mentioning the output, and then execute this. So see here, variable has null value. So if you don't mention the output, then no value is assigned to this particular variable and it will return null value. And if you provide the output here, output here, and then what value it is providing. Okay, so we need to capture whole thing. So see, variable has value. Okay, whenever we are providing the output, like we are setting up the value of the output to this particular variable, then it is returning us the value. Or in place of print, you can also use select also here. Select the variable. Okay, now execute this again simultaneously. So when you select this, it will come in a column value. Okay, total value which is 26. So I think output variable is output parameter store procedure is clear to everyone. So this is very important section. Okay, so keep in mind and check this particular section again and again, so that if asked in interviews, you can easily answer this particular question. So we are doing nothing here to make it clear. Just we are providing one output variable here and output parameter here, and to capture the value of output variable, we need to mention a variable where we can store that particular output value. Okay, otherwise it will be not stored anywhere, then it cannot be seen to us. Okay, so we are mentioning a variable name, and then in that particular variable we are capturing that particular output value while executing the store procedure. Okay, so this is clear to everyone. Now move on to the next part what we have. So after this, we have how to view the text of a user defined store procedure. So basically there are two methods that we can use to check the text of the user defined store procedure. Either first one is we can use a system store procedure, that is sp underscore help text, or we can use the ssms GUI also. So now move on to ssms and check the text of the SPs by using both the process. Okay, so the same SP text we will check here. Now how? First one is system store procedure, that is sp underscore help text. Okay, help text. So mention this and then your store procedure name, and then select and execute. So see, it is providing you the text of the store procedure. Copy this and you can see here it is the same as that we have created now. Okay, and the second method is, like, you can go to store programmability store procedure, and then here you will find out the name of your, refresh it once. Here you will find out the name of your SP. So SP get employee count by gender, employee count by gender. Now right click here, and then you can go to script store procedure, create to, then new query editor. So here also you can find out the text of the SP. Okay, so this is clear, two methods. Now move on to the next one. So next what we have, how to encrypt a user defined store procedure. So basically we can also encrypt our user defined store procedure, so that no one can be able to check the text of the store procedure and no one can do any alteration in that. But be very careful while encrypting your store procedure. Okay, because the decrypting part is very difficult and that can be performed by using the administrator and all. Okay, so basically be clear, if you need to encrypt or not, then only use this particular functionality in your store procedure in your companies. Okay, for practice you can do, but in company work you can be very careful while encrypting your store procedure. Okay, so first of all let's move on to ssms and check how we will encrypt our SP. Okay, so basically encryption is also very means we can do very easily. So syntax for this is like, let's create one SP for this encryption thing. So this time we will take the employee table. Okay, so here we can check the department wise salary. Okay, department wise employee name and salary. So create procedure, and I am again telling you, if you want the data and these scripts, then you can join our telegram channel. There we are loading these data and scripts also. Okay, so if you want to practice this after this video, then you can ask us in the comment, or also you can join our telegram channel, that you will find the link in our description or also on our channel description. Okay, now create a procedure, create procedure, procedure, create procedure, create proc name we will mention like SP, department wise, department department wise employee emp name and salary, employee name and salary. Okay, now mention your parameter, that will be your department department department, which will be our varchar 10 we can mention here because the values are very small, so 10 will be fine. Now write your select statement. So select from employees table, select from employees, and then we need the employee name, we need the name and salary of that particular employee from employee table, where department equals to @department. Okay, equals to @department. Now end. So end. And once you gain the concept of store procedure now, then anything in the SQL is easy for you. Okay, because store procedure are very useful thing and very handy thing. Begin, begin, begin and end. So begin here we have left, as also we have missed. Okay, now create this SP. So create procedure SP department wise, employee name and salary, then the parameter department name which is varchar, the data type, and then as begin, then SQL statement, then end. Okay, now execute this, create your SP. Okay, now we will, okay, oh, we are going to encrypt this also. Okay, first check like this, and then we will encrypt this by using the alter command. Okay, so exec execute the SP and then pass the department. So IT department we will check. Okay, execute this. So in IT we have Bob and Dinah with 70,000 and 75,000 salary. Okay, so this is clear. Now how we can encrypt this particular SP so that no one can be able to check the text of the SP. So currently if you go to store procedure, refresh this, and department wise employee name and salary, when you right click and go to script, then alter to then create to, then you can see the text of the SP. Okay, or also by using this, cancel, also by using this SP underscore help text system store procedure, we can check the text of the SP. Okay, SP underscore help text, so we can able to check the text of the SP. But when we encrypt this particular SP, so do a alter here, and then here just we need to mention after the parameter, we just need to mention with encryption, with encryption, CRYPTION, with encryption. Okay, now when you execute this, so command completed. Now when we go and check with the SP underscore help text, when you execute this, then see the text of the object this is encrypted. Okay, we are getting this, and also refresh here if we can see from here or not. We will check script, create to new query. So creating a script, error, what error we are getting? Property text header is not available for store. Okay, see, property text header is not available for store procedure. This property may not exist for this object, or maybe may not be retrievable due to insufficient access right. Okay, the text is encrypted. Okay, so got it. So by using with encrypt, this particular with encryption, after the parameter declaration, we can encrypt our SP so that no one can be able to check the name of this particular SP. Okay, now remove this, and then again drop and recreate, drop proc, execute, then create and remove this with encryption, then we will check how it will be working. Create it. Okay, now SP underscore help text, execute. So now we are getting the text. Okay, so with encryption is also clear to everyone how we can encrypt our store procedure. Now move on to the next thing what we have. So after this we have how to alter or update the user defined store procedure. So basically for altering our store procedure we can use the alter command, alter procedure, procedure name, and also we can use the graphical user interface to generate the alter command query for us. Okay, so now move on to SSMS and check how we can alter our store procedure. Okay, so let's check this one. So just for altering you can alter like this, like instead of create procedure we can mention alter procedure, then procedure name, and then what you need to alter, if you want something here added, uh, 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 like department name also we want here to be shown. Okay, so department you can mention here and then execute this. Just what we have added, we have added in place of create we have mentioned alter procedure, procedure name, and then the same thing, then execute this. Okay, our procedure has been altered. Now when we execute this exec and then the sp name, sp department wise employee name and salary, and then pass the parameter. Like if we mention the cs department, so cs department we have or not we need to check first. So cs is not available, finance department will mention. Copy this and then write the finance. Okay, now execute sp, then the parameter, execute this. So see here now we are getting the department name also, so we have altered like this. Okay, so one thing, one type you can do like this, you can directly mention the alter statement, or you can generate the alter statement from the GUI also. Okay, SSMS GUI. So what you need to do, just need to right click here, right click on the sp name, and then script store procedure as alter to. Okay, now new query. So like this also you can generate, or one more thing you can do, you can right click on the store procedure and then go to here and then modify. If you press the modify, then also it will generate a alter script for that particular procedure. Okay, so this is also clear to everyone. Now move on to the next thing, next what we have. Okay, altering is also completed. Now how to drop or delete a user defined store procedure. So we can use drop query also, use drop procedure, procedure name, or we can drop it from the GUI also. Okay, now move on to SSMS and check how we can drop our store procedure. So let's take this particular SP, open a new query. So this is our SP department wise employee name and salary. So how we can drop this? So using a drop command, drop drop proc or procedure, anything will work. Drop proc procedure name. Okay, execute this. Now refresh your store procedure and see here this particular SP is not available. SP department wise employee name and salary, so this has been dropped. And now if you want to execute this, so what thing it is telling, execute. So see, could not find store procedure, SP department wise employee name and salary. Okay, so drop is also clear to everyone. Now move on to the next one. Next what we have, so after this we have how to rename a user defined store procedure. Okay, so this is also done in two ways. One, we can use a system store procedure, that is sp underscore rename. Okay, and one we can do it from the graphical user interface. Okay, and see here is our telegram link. Here also you can scan from the video itself also. Okay, and at the end page also you will find out that particular scan link. Okay, so now move on to SSMS and check how we can rename our store procedure. Okay, so pick one store procedure like sp underscore employee we will pick. So copy this, one second, modify we can mention. So from here we have the name. Okay, now new query. So sp underscore rename this one. So how we will mention, sp underscore rename, then the old name, and then comma the new name what we want. Okay, so new name, let's keep it as sp employee employee of company we can mention, employee of company. Okay, Now execute this. So caution, changing any part of an object name could break script and store procedure. Okay, we are clear for that. So it will be sending us a means alert message that if you change the object name, that can be breaking means your scripts and all. So that is not mandatory for now as we are doing this. So this has been renamed. Now when you refresh the store procedure, refresh it. So here we are getting the name SP employee of the company. Okay. Now when you execute this, you will not get anything. But when you execute the renamed thing, you will get your SP executed. EXEC. Then this SP employees, execute this. So could not find the store procedure, this one. And when we execute the renamed SP, then we can be able to execute this. Okay, so this is clear how we can rename it from the script, like sp rename sp, which is a system store procedure. This we can use to rename our store procedure, and also from here also, from the GUI also, we can rename our store procedure. So right click on the store procedure, and then we get a option here, rename. So here you can do the rename. Okay, so sp employees, we can rename it to the previous name, employees employees. Okay, now just refresh this. So sp employees, we have the name. Okay, now execute this. We will get nothing because we have renamed this, could not find this object. But when we execute this, we will get our record. Okay, so both ways of renaming our sp you get. Now move on to the next one. Next, what we have. So after renaming, what we have, how to check the dependencies of a store procedure, both by query and SSMS GUI. So dependencies means what are the things on which the SP is dependent, or what are the things, what are the database objects like table, views, or SPs on which the SP is dependent, and on which the SP is made. Okay, so that are called the dependencies. So we can either use sp underscore depend store procedure, which is a system store procedure, or we can check from the GUI also. So now move on to SSMS and check how we can check the dependencies of our store procedure. Okay, now for this particular, we can check for SP employees on which table or view it has been dependent. So we can use SP underscore depend system store procedure, SP underscore DEPEND depends. Okay, now execute this. So see here, we are getting the name. So from DBO employee table, the type is user table. This is user created table, and it has been, the column which is selected is name column, and then employees department column, then employees salary column. Okay, so similarly you can do for means this particular SP you can use for tables also to check the dependencies of the table, like SP DBO employees table, we can check the dependency. Okay, now paste this and then execute. So incorrect syntax, just the table name we need to mention. Okay, so see, the type store procedure is dependent on this. SP employee store procedure is dependent on this particular table. Okay, so this is clear how we can check the dependencies of a store procedure or table or a view, or all the database objects, like using the SP underscore depends. And also how we can check from the GUI. So from GUI, go to the SP name. Okay, and then right click on the SP name. Then here we get one thing, view dependencies. Now click on this view dependencies. So object that depends on SP employees. So SP employees, no dependencies are there, nothing is dependent on this SP employees. Now second option, we have objects on which SP employees depends. So click on this. So SP employee depends on this employees table. Okay, so this is clear to everyone. Now move on to the next what we have after this. So after checking the dependencies, we have the important system store procedure. So as we have checked all the important store procedure, now here we will check the definition for them. So SP underscore help. So SP underscore help is a system store procedure in SQL Server that provides detailed information about a database object like table, views, store procedure, or it can display information about tables, views, store procedure, indexes, or even user defined types. Okay, so SP underscore help is clear to everyone. Now what we have, the second is SP underscore help text. So these definitions are very important for interview perspective, because interviewer wants you to provide the exact definition. So you need to learn the definitions also for some of the important store procedure or some of the important concepts in SQL for clearing your interviews. Okay, basically for work perspective, these are not required, but for interview perspective, these definitions are very must. Okay, for working, you can do from the above things that we have discussed, but for the interviews, you must know the definitions also. Okay, then we have the SP underscore help text. So SP underscore help text is a system store procedure in SQL Server that is used to display the definition source code of a database object such as a store procedure, view, or trigger that we have seen here. Means it is providing the text of the store procedure. In practical also we have checked the same thing. Now the third one is SP underscore depends. So that also we have checked currently. So SP underscore depends is a system store procedure in SQL Server that provides information about the dependencies of a database object such as a table, view, or store procedure. It shows objects that depends on the specified object and object on which the specified object depends. So both dependencies it will provide to you, on which that particular object is dependent and what are all the dependent objects on that particular object. Okay, so vice versa. Now SP underscore rename. So SP underscore rename is a system store procedure in SQL Server used to rename database objects like tables, indexes, columns, or store procedures. It helps you change the name of an object without affecting its data or structure. Okay, so SP underscore rename also we have seen in action. Okay, now move on to the next one. So next we have the advantages of store procedure, and this is also very important for interview. So what are the advantages of using a store procedure? So encapsulation. So encapsulates logic, reducing the chance of SQL injection. Okay. So basically it reduces the chance of SQL injection because it will encapsulate your logic in a same means in a single frame, and recompilation is not required for this particular structure because it is recompiled from previous only. Now then we have the centralized logic, so helps in standardize and enforce business rules across applications. Okay, so all across the every application your store procedure will capture the same query and it will execute in the same way. And then after we have the reduced network traffic, so processes SQL operations on the server side, reducing the amount of data transferred between the application and the server. So it get compiled at initial stage, so that is why recompilation is not required for store procedure, and the processing of store procedure on the server side reduces the amount of data transfer between the application and server. Okay, and now debugging is, so error can be tracked to specify procedure to specific procedure. So basically you can very easily debug the store procedure when any error will come, and a very vast video on how to debug the store procedure we will create if you comment us, and if you not comment then also we will create one of that. Now thank you for watching friends, thank you everyone, and many more videos are on the way. And as I have mentioned, we are planning to create a master series on SQL Server once our subscriber count milestone of 500 subscriber will be completed, so that more and more people will be benefit from that particular course, and that will be a regular course that will be ended in around means 5 to 6 months of duration, and that will contain each and every portion of SQL Server. And by doing that you can become from zero to hero in SQL Server, and you can master SQL Server completely. Okay, so keep subscribing, keep liking, keep sharing, and comment us if you need our help. And you can join our Telegram channel if you need the data sets, scripts, and anything related to the course, and many other things also from the course concept. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you everyone. Thank you.